Alright, welcome. So, I've been thinking about it, and I might have a little bit of controversial opinion here. I'm all for Volkanovski to get an immediate rematch. Now, listen, some people think that Volk doesn't deserve the rematch. You'd be wrong, alright? But other people just think it's too soon. We need to see Volk fight another contender. Blah, 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 right? I've heard it all. Listen, okay? We need to remember something about Alexander the Great. I think he deserves the immediate rematch. That's not even a question. He has one of the longest title reigns in featherweight history. I think he was one short of Aldo's. It is what it is. But you could argue Volk beat the steeper competition. I know it was Max Holloway 2 times. As a defense, obviously I know he won the belt off of him, but I'm saying as defenses here. But, I mean, Yair at the time was dangerous. Korean Zombie at the time was a prospect. Just different time periods. But, something I will say is, outside of him earning it, I think he needs the rematch. And here's why, man. Volk is only going to get older. If he fights a contender and beats the contender, even if it's like an easy layup, maybe not easy layup, but you know what I mean, like something a little softer he can fight, like a Mozavar Evloev, like a Ryan Ortega rematch, like a Arnold Allen, maybe after Arnold gets another win, like a, they can't really do Yair Rodriguez, maybe Aljamain Sterling after a win. Some of the easier, softer matchups for him. Stay away from Lopez is all I'm saying. That guy's going on a tear. He's becoming champion. Anyways, Alexander Volkanovski. I don't want to see him fight a contender. Because if he fights a contender, he's going to turn 37 next year, right? He's on the precipice. So he'll probably be 37, I guess. I thought his birthday was a little bit later. I thought he was already 37. That's my bad. He'll be 37 by the next time he competes for the belt, if he fights a contender. I don't want to see that. I really don't. Especially if he goes to war with someone, like an Aljamain Sterling or something, if that's even fucking possible for Aljo. But I just don't want to see Volkanovski, 37 years old, fight Ilia fucking Topuria. Well, Ilia Topuria is going to be, 28? Almost 29? Still a prime Ilia Topuria. The dude's still young. Against, like, an old Volkanovski. I don't like that, man. I really don't like that. The only thing that will guarantee go down for Volk in his career is his chin. I don't want to see that, And I know what you're thinking. Then it's like, okay, well, this Volkanovski doesn't beat him, so he's just fucked. Yeah, he kind of is. I know he got chinned against Ilia Topuria. To be fair, that was after a knockout loss here, and he only had what would that be? November, December, October, January, like literally 3.5 months, basically. He had 3.5 months, almost 4 months, and he went back after getting a head kick knockout, and he got knocked out again, So I like the time he's taking off now, so he can recover his chin, so he fights probably at the beginning of next year. But the problem is, the longer we wait, the worse Volk is going to get, and I just think this Volk is like the best way he can beat Ilia, because people forget, man. Hey, he won round 1, just saying. Even on the scorecards, he won round 1. Hey, he still got it, guys? But, no, I do think this Volk, like current Volk, not 37, going on 38-year-old Volk, is gonna be the way, Like, it's the only way he stands a chance against Ilia. Literally the only way. In a rematch, you could at least say, okay, you got chinned, and maybe Volk can just stay away from the cage now, maybe get some takedowns going, maybe get some, rangy shots going, because there is a world where I see Ilia Topuria just letting rounds get away from him, Arguably, you could say round 2 went to Max Holloway in Ilya's fight, and before the knockout, I know Max got wobbled, but it was also looking like a decent round for Max until he got the wobble. But it is what it is. And Volk, skill for skill, I think is still good right now. You know, I don't want to see Volk fight a Josh Emmett and get his ass knocked out. You know, where even is Josh Emmett? Josh Emmett's number 8. I don't want to see Josh Emmett just knock out fucking Volk. You know, if anything's going to happen, let Volkanovski die by Ilya Topuria. As sad as it sounds, listen, I like Volk, man, but if you let him die by Ilya Topuria the second time, he can retire, you know? We won't have a Tony Ferguson, you know? It won't be like, well, Volk's still a #1 contender, you know? He just beat Mozavar Evloev, you know? And look at how he looked like in that fight with the anti-grappling. Maybe he can get something going. I understand you want to get, like, some backbone behind Volk after, like, a contender win. But it's just gonna make him getting knocked out again that much more worse, you know? It's just Ilya's aura is too much for Volk, I think. And I do think that Volkanovski, he is still good. Like, he's not shit. He still beats unranked bums in the division, you know? He still probably does beat some of the #1 contenders. Does he smoke Yair? Probably again. Does he smoke a Brian Ortega? Probably. Does he beat Mozavar Evloev? I'd pick him in Mozavar Evloev. Does he beat Arnold Allen? Questionable, but you could still argue for Volk there, you know? Josh Emmett, not a good matchup. Coming off 2 KO losses. Aljamain Sterling, not the greatest matchup, but I could still pick Volk in that, you know? Calvin Kattar, Lerone Murphy, like, he can beat these guys. There's no doubt about that. But I think we just let Volk retire, bro. I think he just needs to retire, you know? He's not gonna get the belt again, and it's just gonna be, he beats a contender, and then it's like, oh yeah, you know, I still got it in me, you know? You know? I can get out there and do the didgeridoo and get it done, you know? But I just don't see Volk ever beating Ilya. His best chances of beating Ilya are the current version, his next fight is the only way you really try to beat Ilya here. Ilya said he's open to the rematch. Sometimes he's saying he's not. But I think overall, Ilya's respectful enough to give Volkanovski the rematch. But if he dies by Volkanovski, listen, hear me out, guys. If he dies by Ilya Topuria, then this means that Volk can retire a 3-fight losing streak against 2 pound-for-pound greats. If we look at the pound-for-pound ranking, Ilya's number 4. And that's when he lost, right? Again, in the rematch. That'd be his last fight. He lost to number 4 pound-for-pound in the world right now. That's not bad. And then his previous loss is to Islam fucking Makhachev. The number 1 pound-for-pound right now on paper, right? And probably the lightweight GOAT at this point. But my point is, if he retires after losing to Ilya again, it's a good retirement. Yes, he might get knocked out again. Yes, we might have to see Volkanovski's corpse one more time. Oh, that's good. I hate imagining it, man. That's in my nightmares. But he can at least have a good retirement. And if he has a good retirement, we can at least say Volkanovski, arguably one of the greatest featherweights to ever walk the planet. Until Ilya's era. But that's just the sad truth, you know? And I do think that if Volk retires off losing to Ilya again, bro, that's the best retirement you can have. You didn't lose to a Matt Serra, or like a... Fuck, who was the guy who beat GSP again? I don't even fucking remember. But, you know, you're not losing to a Michael Bisping, you know? You're not losing to a Israel Adesanya, not even close to the welterweight GOAT. Get the fuck out of these conversations. You know, Anderson Silva was still leagues ahead. Just shit like that, right? But it's just, in terms of welterweight GOAT, I meant middleweight GOAT. My bad. I just realized, god damn, I sounded stupid there. Anyways, I hope you get my point. It's like he loses to the best people in the world in their divisions, you know? There's no one higher on the pound-for-pound list that's in a lower weight class than light heavyweights, than Islam and fucking Ilya Topuria, you know? Like, that's not a bad, those are not bad losses if you lose to these two, especially if Ilya ends up going flawless his whole career. Like, imagine Ilya at like 28-0, you know? And it's like, man, Volk can be that meme at that construction job digging away. You know, I was UFC champion once until that fella there, Ilya, biggest UFC star in the world at the moment, knocked my ass out twice in a row, you know? And as sad as it is, it's like that's the best way for Volk to go out. Because if he beats another contender, he has more reason to go for the belt. Then he gets knocked out again, and then he's 38, going on 30 fucking 9. You know, wanting to fight hungry contenders. If he beats him again, then it's just the same story. He's not gonna be the new Max Holloway. Max Holloway is younger. That's just, it's sad, but it's true, you know? Like, Volkanovski could be a gatekeeper, but I just think everyone can agree if he retires off to losing after Islam by knockout, Ilya by knockout, and Ilya in a rematch by knockout, that's the best way he can ride into the sunset at this point in his career, you know? I don't want to see Volkanovski lose to a Josh Emmett, as much as Josh Emmett would get, you know, the respect he deserves, on the feet at least, but it's just like, that's the way Volk can ride off to the sunset with very little repercussions, you know? Because Islam Makhachev, as much as no one wants to admit it, he is the lightweight GOAT. There's no, like, question. He's better than Khabib. Yes, he's not as dominant as Khabib, but he's got the same title defenses, and they're to way better competition, you know? I know Dustin Poirier doesn't really count, but he won it off Charles Oliveira, which is just leagues better than Ali fucking Quinta, and then he beat Alexander Volkanovski twice and Dustin Poirier, and in one of the Volkanovski fights, he caused the downfall of Volkanovski, you know? It is what it is. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just as simple as that. I want to see Volk retire on good terms, you know? And if he does lose to Ilya, again, in the rematch, it's reason to retire. We know who Volk is. We know who he is, right? If he beats a contender, he's going to think that he's still this hungry dog, get his ass knocked out, try to fight another contender, get his ass... If he wins, get his ass knocked out again by Ilya Topuria. The only other world that we can live in where Volk rides into the sunset is if Ilya beats Diego Lopez or another contender that wouldn't deserve it, like an Evloev, I guess. But if Diego Lopez loses to Ilya and Ilya says, fuck Volk, I want a lightweight belt, and then he goes up to lightweight, lightweight's his division, I don't really see it as that being the case, because he is just built for a featherweight. I feel like his build is terrible for lightweight. How tall is Islam? 5'10"? He doesn't fucking look it. But if Ilya does move up and he has a successful move up, he can just chill at lightweight and Volkanovski could regain the belt at featherweight, you know? It's possible. I just don't see that being realistic here, you know? I want Volk to retire amongst one of the greats, as his nickname suggests, as his career has suggested, one of the greatest winning streaks of all time, literally only having one blemish in his career, and then he gets up to the big dogs after being contested as one of the greatest pound-for-pound featherweights ever walk the planet, next to Jose Aldo. His only losses in his pro career, we don't really count this one, after being a rugby player his entire life, was to a pound-for-pound all-timer in Islam Makhachev and an Ilya fucking Topuria next up to be a pound-for-pound great. Sorry, my dog is fucking scratching the floor right now. I don't know what he's doing. Anyways, I just wanted to get that off my chest. I love Volk. I have nothing but respect for him. And listen, man, he could still knock my ass out, but he's just not knocking out Ilya. And if he's not knocking out Ilya, there's no fucking way he's submitting Ilya, you know? And if he's not submitting Ilya, that means he's got to make the decision. And as we've seen, Ilya won't let that slide, alright? He don't let no one go to decision with his ass. Unless you're the great Josh Emmett. You know, just saying. But yeah, I just found it interesting. I think it's an interesting topic. I completely understand why people don't want Volkanovski to do the immediate rematch. However, I just think that's best for Volk. He can retire on good terms. That's just all I'm saying. You know? I don't want to see Volk fucking die 3 times back to back, thinking he's still a #1 contender. You know? We see how Henry Cejudo's career's ending. It's not fucking great. If he stayed retired, think of how, like, the conversations would be. Well, Henry Cejudo would be able to beat Merab's ass. Now we don't have that. If Volk retires pretty soon, Lopez wins, you know, after Volk loses to Ilya for the 2nd time, and then we get to see, you know, Lopez versus Ilya. Lopez gets the belt. Volk's already retired, though, and he's just sitting back, and the narrative can be, well, Volk might be able to get it done, you know? Ilya just might have it, you know? I'm just trying to help my boy Volk out. I got nothing but love and respect for Volkanovski. Watching him get knocked out was like watching a parental figure in your life get his ass fucking knocked out right in front of you. You never want to see it. But, fortunately, reality is cruel, and I think this is the best way Volk's career ends. Because he's getting old, man. He is getting old. I know fighters will keep fighting till they're 40. Jim Miller's 41. But it's just not the path I think that is best for Volk. I think he just does retire as one of the greats. As where you should retire, you know? I really don't want to see him have, like, a big downfall. But reality is reality. Volk is Volk. We'll see what happens. With all that being said, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you don't know, I upload every day. And, hey, just started streaming. Yep, planning on streaming every day. Alright? So, if you want a consistent content creator, I'm like a cockroach. I'm gonna be around for fucking ever, baby. But yeah, with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a good day.